এটা ভারী এঠো, এটা ভারী এঠো, প্রচন্ড এঠো। এই তো জলে
So we will start the first academic session after the inaugural session, and again we are thankful to our Chinese scholars， 感谢所有的中国专家从中文员来参加今天的这个活动。And almost each and everybody in China who are working on Tagore know about Professor Tung Yo-Chen. He has translated a number of works of Tagore, number of books, and visited India several times. He was former Deputy Director of the Department of Literature and History at the Party School of the CPC Central Committee, Senior Translator and President of the International Society of Bengal Studies. He graduated in Bengali Language and Literature from the Oriental Department of Leningrad University in the Soviet Union, fluent in Russian and Bengali. Chief Editor and Chief Translator of the complete works of Tagore, 33 volumes, People's Publishing House in 2015. Complete translations of Tagore, novels, 7 volumes, Chenma Publishing House, and selected poems of Tagore, 6 volumes. As a visiting scholar, he has visited Moscow University, Russian Federation School of Administration, Rabindranath University in India. He was in 2010 awarded Honorary Director of Letters by Rabindranath University. And May 9, 2010, Bangla Academy of the Ministry of West Bengal awarded him the Tagore Memorial Award. He has written and published a number of works such as Tagore Painting Biography, the most we can say the #1 Tagore expert in China. So I request Professor Tung to please speak on this occasion. We will be speaking on Tagore's ideals on rural education and its worldwide influence.
সুমনদা, অসমনদা, ডাকো তো লাগিয়ে দাও না, এটা সামনে এটাতে লাগিয়ে দাও। আর যেটা ছোট না রে, কেন যাবে না? এই তো এখানে ঢুকে যাবে না, এখানে গেতে পাস হয়ে গেল। আরেকটা ভালো লাগে লাগবে না, সুইচটা দিয়ে রাখো তো।
সবাই আসলে তোমাদেরকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি। আজকে আমি এখানে অনুষ্ঠান যোগদান দিয়ে আমি খুব আনন্দিত হই। আমার জীবনের অধিকাংশ সময় আমি রবীন্দ্র রচনা গবেষণা অনুবাদ করছি, আগে করেছি। চীনা ভাষায় রবীন্দ্র রচনা সম্পূর্ণ রচনা আমি আমার বন্ধুকে একসঙ্গে 6 বছর নিয়ে চীনা ভাষায় অনুবাদ করে চীনা নাম্বার 1 প্রকাশিত হয়েছে। আমি শুধু এই কাজ করেছি। আজকে আমি রবীন্দ্রনাথ শিক্ষা সম্বন্ধে কিছু আমার আইডিয়া বলছি, কিন্তু এখানে উপস্থিত আমার বন্ধু জানেন আমি ইংরাজি ভাষার খুব খারাপ। আমি জানি উপস্থিত এখানে ছাত্রছাত্রী সবাই চীনা ভাষায় শিখেছেন, শিখবেন। আমি চীনা ভাষায় আস্তে আস্তে বলবো, আপনারা সবাই আমার কথা বুঝতে পারবেন, আমার ইচ্ছা।那么现在我就来宣读我这一篇泰戈尔教育思想初探初步的研究的深刻与意思罗宾格纳泰戈尔是南亚次大陆最伟大的诗人，不仅是伟大的诗人、文学家、小说家、戏剧家，还是一个作曲家，他还是一个伟大的教育家。今天我们在这里来探讨和研究泰戈尔的教育思想，我觉得非常有意义，也非常重要。因为这所大学Visva-Bharati它的建立和发展，discovery of development Organised 就证明这一位伟大诗人、伟大教育家，他的思想是正确的，也是一个生动的体验。所以我们现在在这里开这个研讨会，非常有意义，也非常重要。我今天能够被邀请来参加这个会，心里非常高兴。这个地方Santiniketan Visva-Bharati我来过了都是我来过10次，因为我非常喜欢这个地方这个地方这些大学的建立就证明古鲁代包他的教育思想是非常伟大的。所以呢，我这一辈子研究和翻译他的作品，我就很爱这个伟大的诗人。我爱他有2个原因，第一个原因他的作品好，大家都读过他的作品，不管是多米达，不管是乌巴奈什，不管是哪个，还是莫德莫，读过以后都知道他的思想非常伟大，人非常善良，这是第一点。所以中国的读者到现在都喜欢读他的作品，包括我们的小学校里的学生都读他的作品。第二点，罗宾格纳谈过的马路戏剧大白不跑，就是不跑。在阿米罗宾格纳谈过的全方面跑路法式。罗宾格纳谈过的 Dono 是做 Dono bisogna noi sessuali in due noi nana ganze deji 我汉多比我汉马路史，所以在中国就非常尊敬这个伟大的诗人、伟大的教育家。但是我知道了，他不说谁，这个英雄的人物很多，他不说谁，英雄好人很多。但是我的心目中，我最崇敬的是2个人。第一个人就是泰戈尔，诗人泰戈尔。我上边讲了，他的作品好，他的人品好，他善良，他有大爱的思想。能听懂吧？同学们？第二个人就是马哈达甘地。甘地，他的一生就献给了印度人民的发起，他无私无为，为印度独立而奋斗。所以这个人在中国的广大人民群众当中都知道，马哈达甘地就是圣徒甘地，说圣徒甘地，马哈达反正圣徒甘地。大概我的思想就是这样。现在来讲一下主题上，我今天讲就是泰戈尔教育思想的批判。那么泰戈尔的教育思想，我觉得呢，应该从3个方面来概括。3个方面。第一个方面就是培养孩子们的美好品德，是泰戈尔教育思想的核心。首先要学习到学校来怎么做人，做一个好人，要把孩子养成做一个好人，这是泰戈尔教育思想最重要的目标。其次，还是学习各种知识，历史的、地理的、天文的、文学的、文学领域的、诗歌的、小说的，当然都要学习但是最重要的要学会做人，做一个像泰戈尔这样的伟大的人物的人，他同情穷人，同情弱者，赞美世界上一切美好东西，对世界上一切假的、虚的、不好的东西，他批评，他不赞同。所以这个人在中国人的心当中，在我们心中，真是一个老汉多比人，是这么个人。所以呢，他的核心，我认为就是这一点。第二点可以概括的就是培养孩子们的思维能力，培养孩子们的想象力，是泰戈尔教育思想的一个重要的核心内容之一。这样有很多大家研究泰戈尔教育思想的人都知道，读过很多书了。他在教育方面发表了很多的好的文章，批评当时英国殖民主义在印度推行的教育体制。他认为把孩子关在大楼里，关到水泥钢筋的这个大楼里是不好的，也压制了孩子的创造力、想象力所以呢，他要在露天的，在大榕树底下做课堂，一起学习。我觉得这一点非常重要这一点呢，他这个教育思想和中国的当时的教育思想有一个教育家叫陶行知先生，可能慢慢会相近。第3个方面，泰戈尔认为，这个教育的思想社会教育的思想应该与现实生活相结合。现在的现实生活相结合不要脱离现实生活不要脱离大自然的环境，要在这个大自然的环境里头培养孩子的创造力、想象力，这样才能出天才的创造者这是我觉得这3个方面是伟大诗人泰戈尔留给我们后代的后人的最宝贵的教育思想财富，我们应该继承发展来实践他的伟大的教育思想。 这是我就不详细展开给大家分享，这个算是文章啊。我觉得为什么我们今天在这里举行或者泰戈尔教育思想的研讨会，重要性是在这里啊。所以呢，你研究者在座的还有几位老师，他们研究更深刻，我愿意听听他们的效果。今天我就发言到这里，谢谢大家，谢谢，谢谢。
Thank you, Professor for your evaluation of Tagore, and you have discussed about the you evaluated Tagore and three aspects of Tagore's educational philosophy. The Indian system of education, in that Tagore also opposed the colonial powers educational system. You mentioned also about house literature. We now come to Professor Manavendra Mukhopadhyay, who is presently the head of the Department of Bengali and also a Tagore expert who has attended many national and international conferences, and he's visited as he went to China as a visiting fellow of Beijing Foreign Studies University in 2019. During his academic visit to China, he delivered lectures on Tagore Bengali culture at the School of Cross Culture and World Literature at Tianjin Normal University, besides his normal assignment at BFSC. Core areas of his studies and research are Tagore studies, cultural history of Santiniketan, modern Bengali literature, Bengali culture, structure of intellectual thoughts of the thinkers of 19th century Bengal, etc. He has authored many books: Rabindranath, Ashray or Ashram, Tagore, a refugee and his hermitage, Ghosh Jiboner Upanyash, the novel of community life, Birendra Krishna Bhor, the dawn called Birendra Krishna Bhor, Raudra Char Goddo, the process of light and dark, etc. Besides academic pursuits, he enjoys creative writing. He is a regular contributor to many journals and periodicals at home and abroad. So may I now request Professor Mukhopadhyay to please deliver his talk. The idea of Tapoban and its reshaping by Tagore in the 20th century.
Namaskar and very good morning to the chair and warm present here for this great occasion. Considering the positive time, I am coming straight to my points. The title of my paper is The Idea of Bhavana and its Reshaping by Tagore in the 20th Century. It has been a well-accepted fact that Tagore established the Ashrama Vidyalaya at Santiniketan in 1901 as an adaptation of the ideals from Tapoban of ancient India. Tapoban was a calm, serene, compatible place on the left of the nature as we perceive it. We have some references from the Sanskrit plays, fictions, and different religious scriptures to conceive the Tapoban. Particularly, the norms of the education system of Tapabana can be had in the Atharva Veda, Dharma Sutras, the Nyaya Vartika, and the Harita Sutra, the Pritya Sutras, and the travel account of Megasthenes, for example. The researchers like A.S. Altekar, Radhakumut Mukherjee, Manvadalal Dwivedi, Tejeshwar Rao et al. Have collected the norms of the Tapabana from these ancient sources and presented vivid accounts on it. The Tapabana was not completely disassociated to the locality. Practically, the detachment and attachment were well synchronized in the Tapabana system. The disciples had to wait for hours from the nearby locality, but it is a fact that they maintained to keep themselves absent from the human cry of the outer world. Tagore had an ideal of Tapavan from his early days. In a biographical note written in 1904 to Porimohan Mukhopadhyay, which was later included in his book Atma Parichaya or Of Myself, Tagore said, I quote, I have always taken the Tapavan as an ideal. The ideal didn't come to me exploring history. I got it from the pages of the poets of the ancient age. Unquote. Translation mine. You know that Tagore was an ardent admirer of Kalidasa. He also referred to Bharata's Kadambari, another essay composed in later life, giving a vivid account to showcase the serenity of the Tapavan. But we have the temptation to rethink Sorry, I'm continuing. I hope you will listen. But we have the temptation to rethink what kind of Tapavana from Tagore more effectively in adapting the idea by establishing the ashrama. Was it from the Tapavana as mentioned in the ancient scriptures, or the Tapavana as depicted in Sanskrit literature? Tagore himself argued for the poetical Tapavana. Then why did the ceremonial Tapavana take so importance in 1901? This is my question. It is noticeable that there were no prescribed directives to the students in the literary references of ancient age in general, which mainly depicted a simple, calm, and admirable poetic impression of the Tapavana. On the contrary, there were various do's and don'ts, the serious practices of daily life in Tapavana in the Shastras. To inquire into the matter, we may align the letters that Tagore had written to his close circle before establishing the Ashrama Vidyalaya in a letter to Sri Jagadish Chandra Ghosh, one of the closest friends of Tagore, in August 1901, 4 months before the opening of the school. Tagore wrote, I quote, I am earnestly trying to open a school at Santiniketan, but the students will reside in the cottage with their masters to have close proximity all the time like the ancient system of Indian education. Unless they are taught celibacy since boyhood, they would not be a perfect Hindu. In another letter, Tagore wrote to Rajendra Kishore, the prince of Tripura. Tagore said, quote, I have a strong volition to reinstate the Brahminical idea, and I did a lot for the same. Unquote. It sounds that he favored the formal and ritualistic approach of the ancient Tapavana for his school. In the Tattva-Bodhini Putrika, the institutional magazine of the Brahmana Samaj, cited that the first 5 students of the Ashrama Vidyalaya, including Rabindranath Tagore, had to wear the conventional attire of celibacy and had to perform the rituals as prescribed in the old scripture. Even the diversity of color of the attire was prescribed from the old scriptures. In a reply to a question asked by Monoranjan Bandyopadhyay, who all know that the principal of Ashrama Vidyalaya, whether a Brahman student could offer pranam to a non-Brahmin teacher, Tagore asked to follow the ancient scriptures. Perhaps to avoid any kind of controversy at the budding stage of his school, Tagore, being financially deeply dependent on the ashrama trustee, had to compromise a lot of things. Offering namaskar instead of touching feet of the non-Brahmin teachers was an instant solution at the time. A.S. Altekar, however, had revealed the provision of offering pranam of a Brahmin student to a non-Brahmin teacher in the Dharma Shatras. Fortunately, this convention disappeared soon from the Santiniketan school. With the course of time, the Ashrama Vidyalaya underwent changes and turned soon to a true poetical Tapavana that Tagore had in his mind. Nevertheless, it may sound amazing to us that how could Tagore indulge the dicta? But it is equally noticeable that Tagore discarded some of the norms of ancient Tapovan from the very inception of the Asrama Vidyalaya. It is notable because in the same year 1901, Munshi Ram, later known as Swami Sraddhananda, initiated a Vedic Gurukul university near Haridwar, and all the rituals like Chajna or firework were incorporated to that university. On the contrary, Tagore turned the Vedic Jajna or the firework sitting circularly converted into a Shiksha Jajna on a circular or semicircular space under the trees of the groves, adopting only the essence but rejecting the apparent fit of the ancient practice of the Bhavana. The circular sitting beneath the trees seems to be more significant to us. It is presumably not only because the paucity of money or to establish direct contact with nature. Moreover, it seems to be a rejection of the colonial system of education in the classroom situation, where the linear distance between students and the teacher develops gradually from the first bench to the last bench. In spite of this modification, Tagore couldn't avoid criticism. Edward Townshend and many other critics of Tagore labeled the period as a backward gearing of the world in general. Townshend marked the time as a total eclipsed phase of Tagore's life. But we have to rethink the facts carefully. It was obviously a construct of the ancient India of Tagore, like many other romantic poets. But in terms of construction of the past, Tagore possessed a unique expression. Tagore clarified it in a small prose, where the present published in Bharati in 1885. Tagore clarified in a small prose, saying that the past is like a total man, a totality, where the present appears as different 30 days with its fragmental nature, with its real joys and sorrows. So the immortal past in the space is the space to refuse from the ever-perishable present. To Tagore, Kalidasa himself had constructed his Tapavana out of his longing for the past. In an essay, Tapavana, in 1909, Tagore categorically writes, quote, "The reign when Vikramaditya was the king, Ujjain was the capital, and Kalidasa was poet in India, the age of Tapavana gone off." Unquote. Kalidasa reconstructed it to take refuge in it. Tagore constructed his Tapavana, which in due course moved its direction without any apparent deviation at large. It was tuned to the progress of his life. In 1916, Tagore said in a lecture in America, quote, "The growth of this school was the growth of my life," unquote. On the other hand, he once said in the Asia Equate School in 1926, the creation of this school was at par with the creation of a poem by him, in a medium, not in words. We think it is evident. At the time of establishing the school, Tagore responded to ancient India in two ways through the consecutive books of poems, the Kalpana 1900 and the Naivedya 1901. In the lyrics of Kalpana, he cherished the beauty of the past, whereas in the sonnets of Naivedya, he chanted for the grandeur of ancient India. Likewise, in the very initial phase of the Asrama Vidyalaya, he responded to the ritualistic Tapovan with the latent aesthetical flavor of it. Eventually, the cultural signature of Santiniketan appeared distinctly in or around 1907 to my consideration, with the joining of Pandit Vidushekar, Pandit Shkiti Mohan, Rabindranath Tagore et al. In the ashram. Rabindranath showered the ashram with the stars. The Pandits too designed the new festivals, balancing with the ancient chants and the aesthetics of new dimensions. Tagore himself wrote for the students the Te Sharadaksha in 1908. These initiatives took pace with the inception of the Kalashami Bhavana in 1919 in the time of foundation of Visva-Bharati. Not only the Vedic context, but the Buddhist cultural context were embedded in the cultural epoch at Santiniketan from the early days. The Bhavana, a touched heart for residential purposes of the students, was carrying the signature of their Buddhist Cultural Association in the first phase, from the first phase of the Ashram Vidyalaya. The Buddhist influence flourished after the inception of the Kalabhavan widely. The architectural evidence of the Chaitya, the Ghantakala, the sculpture of Buddha and Sujata in Kalabhavan, and the frescoes on the wall of the Cheena Bhavan stand for the proposition. Chanting Sadhu Sadhu instead of clapping at the end of any performance was practically adopted from the Buddhist culture, not from the ancient Vedic culture. I have got this reference from the Mahabharata Shraman of Sukumai Bhattacharya. Here he referred that in Shalla Parva of Mahabharata, the clapping was the incident of clapping was referred there. Tagore with his associates did the things. It was not one's individual endeavor. The idea of Tapavana turned into Visva-Bharati, which was again a transformation of the Tapavana in one sense. The motto of Visva-Bharati, Yatra Visva-Bharati Niram, actually the original mantra that has been taken from the Shukla Yajurveda of the Vatshaya Samhita, that was the Vedastapasya Nihitam Guhasa Yatra Vishwam Bhavatika Niram, mainly a metaphor taken from the Vedic text. Means, behold, the Almighty God is there in the cave. So, this Yatra Vishwam Bhavatika Niram, the motto that was a coinage of Pandit Vidishakar from the Shukla Yajurveda, which offered nourishment to the wounds of mankind during World War I. So, this is not that in entering into the phase of Visva-Bharati, the concept of Tapavana was discarded. It is not at all. Thus, the idea of Tapavana underwent the changes and was reshaped by the God following his perception and ripening of his inner world. Thank you.
Professor Kolkata. We now go straight to Professor Amrit Sen. Almost all of us are familiar also with Professor Amrit Sen, professor and former head of the Department for English and now the Director officiating of Grantha Vibhag at Visva-Bharati. Interested in 18th century studies, travel writing, Tagore studied the history of science. He has earned an outstanding research award for his doctoral dissertation, published by World View in 2007. He has been awarded UGC Research Award for his project titled The Self and the World in Tagore's Travel Writing. His major publications, Tom Jones and Christian Shandy, World View 2007, Gitanjali, the Centenary Edition, Visva-Bharati 2012, Tagore, the Unsung Hero, and many. The Continuum of Ideas, Lower Press. He has also edited the special issues on Rabindranath Tagore for News India and Rupaka and a volume of essays on the river in Indian literature in 2014. He was joint coordinator of the UGC UK project of the Scotland-India Continuum, Tagore and his circle, and deputy coordinator of the UGC SAP project on Tagore, the East-West Confluence at the Department of English. So, may I now request Professor Sen to please deliver his presentation.
Thank you. I'd like to decognize the distance between the listeners and the speaker. Thank you, Professor Banerjee, Abhijit Puni, and thank you, dear students and delegates from China. This has been my second department, as it were, in the university, apart from the English department. Right. Now, interestingly, in the morning session, there was a reference to the pillars of Tagore's philosophy of education, as Professor Amal Pal pointed out: creativity, internationalism, aesthetics, and very importantly, the question of joy, Ananda. So, I've titled my presentation, Education as Celebration, where I'm going to talk about Tagore's introduction of the concept of the festival within the academic curriculum, which was almost unique to Santiniketan at large. Now my question is, how did Tagore's concept of the festival evolve? What was the pre-modern concept of the festival? How did Rabindranath Tagore change it? And what renovation did Rabindranath Tagore bring to this idea? So this is what my presentation is going to be about. Now, the classical festival saw the difference between what Bakhtin has called the everyday and the workaday. So, you suspend the everyday to enter into the workaday. And as Turner points out, the festival involves a question of inversion of the social order. So normally, social order is stratified. So you exist here, you exist there, you exist there, especially within the Indian caste systems. What happens in the festival is that a sense of communitas, as Turner calls it, is evolved, where the entire community can participate in this liminal space, in this in-between space. So it's important to see when the festival is being organized, where the festival is being organized, and what is the social order of the festival. If you could just move on to the next slides, please. Right. Now, Eric Fromm points out that, festivals also create their own aesthetic spaces. So, to create this kind of a society of the communitas, he says, we must recognize the need for creation of collective art and ritual. So there are religious festivals which generate their own kind of art. There are secular festivals which generate their own kind of art. And therefore comes this system of the communitas where people can walk together, dance together, admire together, and be as a member of a lonely crowd. You see, this is true of India. I am sure this is true also in China, where, for example, the New Year festival is a festival everywhere where people can gather together irrespective of their differences. This is that sense of the communitas, a time which is within time itself. It is there, but you have isolated and segregated it from the world. Next one, please. Right. Now, Rabindranath has a very interesting take on this, and there was this paper on rural reconstruction, which unfortunately, sir, because I do not know Chinese, I could not follow. But he makes an important statement. He says that when people come, you go to the people, they do not automatically listen to you. If you go and tell a poor person, poverty could be eradicated this way, they would not listen to you. Or you take health practices, they would not listen to you. But when you go to a fair, people automatically open up, they are more receptive. So in Swadeshi Samaj, this is a text written in 1905, Rabindranath talks about the receptivity and the openness of the people during the festival. Right? So he says, when the community has suspended the plow and decided to holiday, it is time to go close to them. So when you, for example, what Rabindranath was doing was, there was a crisis of midwives in this place. Giving birth was a problem. You had a scarcity. So what he was doing was, within these rural fairs, he was creating a model midwifery house where people would be trained, women of the community would be trained how to give birth. Right? So he was using that village space also as a kind of a space to educate the community. Right, next please. And therefore, he says, you use the local also. So for example, local Jatra performance. For example, the Kirtan are local songs. He says the magic lantern, etc. You use these parts of the festival to create a sense of awareness in your rural reconstruction project. Right? So this attempt to create a new cultural public sphere was part of what Sumit Sarkar has called Rabindranath Tagore's constructive Swadesh, this project of decolonization. Next, please. Now, what Rabindranath was trying to interestingly do was to also inculcate all his major ideas into festivals. For example, the celebration of nature is something which he put into his festivals of nature. Not only were they relieving the monotony of regular classes, they were also teaching the students about the importance and sanctification of nature. Secondly, he was using a choric element in devising songs for every single festival. So these would be sung together. How does one bring students together? Singing songs, performing together. So creativity, aesthetics, and choric collectivity was being used as part of this project of a secular communitas. And therefore, he calls this idea, next one please, the question of surplus. Now, today, the Honorable Consul, Professor Amol Pal, talked about this question of the whole personality of man. What does this whole personality constitute? It constitutes three things. One, what your education gives you. Two, how you respond with this education to the community. And third, what is the creative surplus within you? How do you express yourself? So Rabindranath was looking at education in creating this angel of surplus, which would participate in the joy of existence. So teaching was not merely creation of a personality. Teaching was also the expression and joyful expression of this personality. Right? So he says the surplus, which is like the atmosphere of the earth, bringing to her a constant circulation of life and light and darkness. This is something which he brought into the festival. Next, please. And through that surplus, he says, you touch the infinite. I will just come to this in a minute when I show you the pictures, but let's go to the next slide, please. Now, how does this manifestation happen? In the cusp between the finite and the infinite, human and the divine, self and the community, nature, beyond the book and the syllabus, and the realm of the art. Now, when I show the pictures, they will become clearer to all of you. Next, please. Now, this is something which I have done for myself. Now, what is the difference? You see, in the pre-modern system, festivals are predominantly natural or religious. So, certain times of the year, certain religious festivals. The space where you have the festival is a space which is a community, or it is a temple, or somewhere which is religious. And the social order is generally either in the secular festival to overturn the normal secular order, or in the religious festival to sort of reify or to sort of make or repeat the dominant social order. Now, with Rabindranath Tagore, Tagore's father, he was establishing two major festivals here. One was the Magotshav, which was a traditional religious Brahmo festival, which was again sanctified. And the other was creating a Posh Mera, which is now a cultural festival of Santiniketan, where the community was being brought in. So that was the community, the space of the community, just opposite to the Upasana Griha, the place of worship. So it's interesting, if you look at the structure of Santiniketan, on the one hand you have the sacred, on the other hand you have the secular, facing each other, almost seamlessly integrated. And you have the question of inclusivity, but it is still a predominantly religious idea. What does Rabindranath Tagore do? He disperses the festival, no longer two festivals, many festivals throughout the year. What are the spaces? Multiple, but predominantly the university. So the university space becomes filled with spectacle. And how does he use it? With joy, creativity, and very importantly, circulate certain ideas, the pedagogy. Now let's come to the actual pictures to see what this is, how this is being done. Okay, we've talked about it: nature, joy, and community. The three important kinds. What are the four kinds of festivals? Specifically directed towards nationalism and identity. This is beyond Santiniketan. In the Rakhi Bandhan Utsav, for example, is tying Rakhis on the hands of Hindus and Muslims together to bring them together as a nation. Then involving nature and environment to teach students about the importance of nature. Involving the community and the pedagogy to teach students that farming is as important as other forms of education. And involving a synthesis of religious thought, that Buddhism, Christianity, the Muslim religion, Hindu religion can all coexist together. This is also a very important idea. Okay, next please. Let's quickly go on to next please. Let's go to the, for example, this is the Basanta Utsav. Again, a celebration of nature. I've chosen this because you have here one of our Prime Ministers of India, Indira Gandhi, who was a student taking part in this. But this is a better picture actually, which shows the color of the festival, the joy of the festival, the song of the festival. And you can see how, it's a relief from monotony. It's also teaching you about the beauty and the importance of nature. Right. And next comes a very important festival. This is the tree plantation festival, Vriksharopana. Right. For the students who are participating in this every year, please remember what Tagore is doing. You see, he's taken this sapling and made it sacred. It's a secular festival which is celebrating nature, but using the structure of the religious ritual. So the sacred and the secular are coming together. So he's using the structure of the sacred, sanctifying the sapling, and letting you understand through songs what the importance and the hospitality of man to nature should be, not nature to man. So normally what do we see? Nature is there for man. Tagore says, no, we should be there for nature, just like a child, it is our own. Next one please. So you see, repeatedly, these are pictures of how Tagore is reinvigorating or renovating the festival as it were. Next one please. Right. Now Santiniketan, as our senior professor pointed out, site of rural reconstruction. He says in Santiniketan, Rabindranath makes an important point. We, the intelligent people, think that the farmers are fools. This gap between the farmer and the intelligentsia must be bridged. And this was where he created the festival of the plough. Next one, please. This is one of the pictures of Tagore himself pulling the plough. Right? So you can see how the ploughs are decorated, how this entire festival is sort of created in a structure of a ritual. Look at the painting of this. This was done by Nandalal Ghosh later on. Now, this is important. Professor Mukhopadhyay was referring to the yajna. See, this is the sacred. There is an element of sacredness which is grafted into this festival. This is where Tagore is pulling the plough. This is, you see, how the aesthetic program has been created. So this is one part of the fresco. Right? Next one, please. The next part of the fresco is very interesting. This is where the aboriginal communities around this place have gathered together to pay homage to this festival. And this is where, you see, the ordinary people of the other villages have come. Next one, please, if there is one more. You see how Tagore is bridging this gap between the university and the community. See, if you have to draw the community in, Tagore says, draw it by giving them a kind of a recognition, by drawing them in through the festival. Right. One last point, because this time is extremely short and I have already taken this up. This is one of the religious festivals. It is the Krishtotsav. This is happens on the 25th of December every year. So this is basically a celebration of Christmas. So what does Tagore do? He creates it as our version of Christmas. It doesn't have anything to do with Santa Claus and the other things. There are carols there. There is a hymn to Christ, not as a god of Christianity or as an angel of Christianity, but as a harbinger of peace. Right? So in that sense, it is a localization of a global festival. Rabindranath's internationalism lay in the fact not that he was adapting all cultures sort of without any kind of verification. For example, when he went to China, he brought back a lot of Chinese painting, but he asked his old students to adapt it within the local conditions. He invited the Chinese painters to come here and create them with respect to their responses to our situation. That is the best part of internationalism, where the local and the global can merge and create new identities. I think that is an important part where the festival becomes important. Now, this festival incidentally continued even after Tagore in the Shilpotsav and the Nandan Mela, which the Santiniketan community actually sort of carried forward. But I'd like to just end with one problem, because every idea has its problems also. Now, how far today are we aware of the spirit of the festival? Do we see it just as a time when you can have a large amount of great fun and joy, and the pedagogy has gone out of the window? This is a question which I'm asking all of your students. Has it become just a ceremony for us, an occasion to have fun? And with the post-era, of course, is it just a spectacle rather than as organically linked with the community? Is it just as postmodern festival as a part of culture industry, where we have allowed the festival to be taken over by market forces? Rabindranath did not want this. He wanted a festival that was organic to pedagogy and the industry. And it is here that I think that Rabindranath uniquely, a creator, he's known as a great poet, but this designing of the festival as part of pedagogy was equally creative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Amrit, for your excellent deliberation. It is also learning experience for us and also for the students on how the festivals in Santiniketan from the ancient time to the present, the relevance of the festivals. I think as we have a very shortage of time and number of scholars, so we are not going for the question answer Q&A session. It can be discussed during our lunch time. May I now request, so once again, thank Professor Tung Yochen, 感谢东老师，这个身体我知道不舒服，但是还是发言。Also thank Professor Bhavana Mukhopadhyay, Professor Amrit Sen for the deliberation, and we close the first session here. May I now request Professor Sen and Professor Mukhopadhyay to please sit over there. May I now request, we will start the second session where Professor Ramal Pal, I request Professor Ramal Pal to please come to the desk. Also I request Professor Shumita Chakraborty, 李金云老师、朱顺老师、王清刚老师。所以因为是你们对有4位，现在发言是4位，所以最好如果你们这个限制到13分钟，你们的这个发言限制到13分钟。好。Submit it. 어머나.
Namaskar. Now we are going to start our second session. In this session, we have 4 speakers. Professor Sumita Chakraborty, Miss Lee Jin Yu, Dr. Chu Swan, and Mr. Wang Chin Tan. Now, I introduce Professor Sumita Chakraborty. Sumita Chakraborty, former professor, Bardal University, and renowned writer in Bengali language. She has a bright academic career, and she wrote many books on Bengali literature and other subjects. Professor Chakraborty is notable work, poet Homiyo Chakraborty, published in 1981. Apart from writing, she is regularly taking part in debates, discussions, and seminars in various organizations. Asiatic Society, Tagore Shastri Institute, Sahitya Academy, Posting Bongo Bangla Academy, Center for Advanced Studies in Simla. She was the first coordinator, Center of Advanced Studies, Bengali in Bardwan University. Now she is associated with different projects of National Center for Social and Cultural Studies in Kathmandu University, Assam. Now I request Professor Tagore to deliver her lecture.
Honorable Mr. Chairman, the distinguished speakers, and the learned audience here. Let me start right now. After thanking the Department of Journalism, Visva-Bharati, for inviting me to speak a few words on Tagore's philosophy of education. The title of my paper is Tagore's Idea of Education and Two Women from Abroad. Rabindranath Tagore established Brahmacharya in Santiniketan in 1901. At that time, education system in undivided Bengal was controlled by British government. The education policy announced by Lord Curzon in 1924 up to 1947, that pattern was almost unchanged. After independence, there very little alteration has been made. No basic change in the framework. The idea of this system was to teach the young people for the purpose of establishing themselves in practical life. The idea of Tagore regarding education was altogether different. Education for the purpose of obtaining degrees and finding jobs had no place in Tagore's philosophy of education. Though the practical circumstance of getting jobs could not be entirely overruled, therefore the school students of Santiniketan had to sit for regular examinations from other schools until Visva-Bharati was able to chalk out its own examination system much later, around 1921-22. But whatever it may be, that was not the philosophy of education in Tagore's mind. He wanted that the students should acquire knowledge about the whole world, and about the whole world. That was the idea behind the name Visva-Bharati. Knowledge must expand leaving one's own limited experience. That's why he was in habit of asking people from many spheres of knowledge and from many countries to come to Santiniketan. He was always in search for men and women from all over the world and to teach something, be it music, painting, sculpture, dance, language, garden planning, physical training, philosophy or medical science. There was no regular appointment for the teachers. There was no regular appointment for the teachers or worship humans. There was no regular appointment for the teachers, no pay scales, sometimes no pay at all. Like Professor Khan and Shan initially. No compulsion for finishing the syllabus. They came from everywhere. USA, England, France, Germany, Italy, Czechoslovakia, Soviet Russia, China, Japan, Ceylon, and Palestine. Sometimes they stayed from 6 months to a couple of years, sometimes much longer, and in some cases never to return, like C.A. Andrews and Professor Khan and Shan. Why did they come? There was no money incentive. They came because some of them were attracted by the personal charm of Tagore, but some of them were attracted to the very idea of this special kind of the residential university, a university with difference. Here I am going to talk about two women who are not well known like Andrews, Elbers, Pearson, Tanishan or Stephen Ramesh. They are Shulamit Flaum from Palestine and Gretchen Green from USA. Shulamit Flaum, 1893-1963, was a Jew. Very little is known of her personal life. Born in Lithuania, she was educated in Germany. The first information of her is found in 1911, when she graduated from Germany and went to Palestine for teaching children in kindergarten method. In 1919, she went to USA for further studies, but this time she had joined Zionist movement, the movement for Palestine's liberation, and gradually she came in the forefront. Shulamit Flaum came to know Tagore sometimes between October 1920 to March 1921 in New York, while Tagore stayed there. She was very much attracted by Tagore's charm and personality, and she expressed her interest in the school of Santiniketan. Tagore readily asked her to come, and she arrived. She taught the small children in kindergarten system, and also she helped the senior students with their journey. She regularly took part in discussions regarding the academic programs. She mixed with the children intimately, often invited them into her residence for treats, and also invited Tagore. She presented books to Tagore written in Hebrew by herself. She also taught some handicrafts. Omika Shane was one of her students, and she has mentioned that Shulamit taught them to dance with French music. Tagore used to call her Shanti. She was well liked in Santiniketan. But what did she specially do for the students? How did she fulfill Tagore's idea of education? It was that she carried a portion of the outer world with her. Palestine and Arab-Israel conflict was not familiar to Indians at that time. Shulamit brought the knowledge of the international and contemporary political unrest. The residents of Santiniketan were not very much aware of this situation. Shulamit made them aware with just her existence. At the same time, the little children of Santiniketan got the idea of French music and dance. That is what Tagore wanted. The students of Visva-Bharati must feel that they are not confined in a small town of Kolkata. They are part of the whole world. After a couple of years, Shulamit went back to Palestine to carry out her mission. Thus, she left a notion of selfless patriotism for the young people of Santiniketan. Next we come to Gretchen Green. She was a different kind of person. She came to Santiniketan to teach how to fight malaria. She was to teach how to keep sound health. Gretchen Green has written a memoir called The Whole World and Company, published in 1936. But the names of her parents are not mentioned in that book, or the name of the place from where she came. But it has been said that she belonged to a missionary family. Her parents brought her up to be a person devoted to serve the world, devoted to serve the whole world. Miss Green grew up like that. At 17, she was sent to Boston Church Hospital to be a nurse. After that, whether the daughter and her parents had ever met, we know not. Miss Green emerged to be a freelance social worker, seeking for places where she could help other people. It was the time when Tagore's philosophy of education was extended towards establishing a special kind of school at Shri for downtrodden villagers. It was not for teaching, not for academic subjects. It was to teach the village people how to fight various physical ailments, particularly malaria. In addition to that, Tagore wanted to arrange some vocational training like weaving, leathercraft, and pottery. It was to be said that in the 20s or 20th century, the idea of vocational training in schools in the middle class Bhadralok society was unthinkable. Initially, Tagore was looking for someone, preferably a woman, who could give primary health education to the village women. In 1921, Leonard Elmhurst arrived at Bolton to assist Tagore in his project to build a company. It may be said, with all due respect to Tagore, that his philosophy of education did not clearly include the economics of education. It was for Dorothy Strait Dorothy Strait, being an intimate friend of Elmhurst, who later became his wife, that Tagore's dream of Santiniketan came true. Dorothy supplied the entire money, including the traveling expenses of Elmhurst. She also arranged to send Gretchen Green to Santiniketan and provided her expenses too. Gretchen arrived at Santiniketan in 1922 and started her work. Her school was her dispenser. Her teaching and working methods have been described in her biography in detail. First of all, it was cleanliness. She taught that drinking water should be boiled, and any kind of food should be covered to keep away from dust and flies. These two simple instructions were quite difficult to follow for her students. Then she had to teach them to take medicines timely, and she tried to give them some idea about the diet of the patients. This was further difficult because any kind of food was scarce to them. No idea of that at all. Keeping the tribals away from consuming the local wine was another almost impossible task. But Miss Green partially succeeded, and the health condition of the area improved much. The key to her success was that she was a teacher at a time, stern and sympathetic. I shall mention only one incident, which has not been referred in any writing about Santiniketan anywhere possible. Gretchen has described the incident in her memoir. One day, a Muslim schoolmaster came to her with 10 girls, aged between 11 and 13. They came by bullock cart, journeying over 10 hours. The teacher requested Gretchen to advise those girls about the problems of adolescence. It was not possible for a male teacher. We shall never know the name of that Muslim gentleman, but we can appreciate his sense of responsibility and his thoughtful concern for the girls. It goes without saying that the tribal community and the poor Muslim villagers did learn something very precious from Gretchen Green. They learned that women should be treated as individuals and not only working machines for the family. The third foundation day of Santiniketan was celebrated while Gretchen was there. The honored guests came from Calcutta, including the Consul General of America and his wife. But Gretchen, in addition to that, invited all the villagers around, nearly 800 people. The program started with hymns from Ved and Upanishad, songs and dances in ashram style. When the program ended, with Gretchen showing a documentary film on malaria and its treatment. These were the teaching methods of Gretchen Green, quite exceptional even in Santiniketan at that time. Gretchen seldom met Tagore, but in Poshmala, in 1922, she arranged for a health camp with exhibitions and photographs. Also, she gave instructive lectures for the audience. Gretchen went to China from India in 1924 accompanied Tagore. Gretchen Green and Tagore probably never had any And she was, in my opinion, one of the practitioners of that philosophy. Maybe Sheila Fromm and Richard Green did not write articles on education. Also, it cannot be said that they were particularly inspired by Tagore. But both of these two women had the same philosophy of education as Tagore had. Therefore, both of them found Santiniketan as their own institution to work and to teach whatever they could. To both of them, just like Tagore, education meant expansion of one's knowledge and intellect and compassion for others.
Many thanks to Professor Chakraborty for her presentation. And we got some important information and interpretation also from her paper. Now, our next speaker, Miss Lee Chin Yu. Miss Lee Chin Yu, a native of Fuzhou, Fujian, holds PhD degree in comparative literature and world literature from Fudan University. She is an associate professor and master's tutor at the School of Foreign Languages at Fuzhou University. The director of the Indian Studies Center at the School of Foreign Languages at Fuzhou University and the director of the Indian Literature Research Branch of China Association for Foreign Literature Studies, engaged in research on contemporary Indian literature, cultural exchanges between China and India, and cross-cultural discourse. Currently, she is in charge of a National Social Science Foundation General Project, research on the evolution of the image of China in contemporary Indian literature. Now I request Ms. Lee Chin Yu to present her paper.
Okay, before I begin my lecture, I want to ask a few questions and I have prepared some gifts here. So, my first question would be, did you know any Chinese writers? Could anyone tell me? Yes. Mao Zedong. Yes. And did you know any of his works?
Yes.
Yes. Anyone tell me? Yes.
Political power grows out of the biological.
Yes, thank you. You're so good. And yes, please. And my first gift. This is the fan from China. It is a painting of the mountains. So and also a few words Chinese calligraphy. So thank you for your answers and to help me to pass on to him. Yes, my second question. And to anyone know some Chinese poets? Anyone can recite his poem? Anyone like to recite his poem? Yes, the last one. Yes.
Chenma.
His poem.
He was a romantic poet. He was a romantic poet from China.
Yes. Anyone can recite his poem? His poem. Like 传钱满月花. Anyone? Yes, 今夜诗. Yes, some more words? Yes. Yes, great, thank you. Well, this one is is about a kind of the Chinese grass, actually, and we all like it. It's a kind of evergreen for whole years, and we hope that Indian and Chinese grass will be evergreen. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And now, begin my lecture. my lecture is I think from now on I will try to speak in Chinese. Can you understand me if I speak in Chinese? Okay, thank you. Yes, I come from Seoul University, and my name is Cheena. And I have a Bengali name, Sonali. Yes, my teachers here Shamulita gave me this name. Yes, I like it. Then I'm going to talk about Rabindranath's influences on Tian's writers and also the person celebrities. And I come from Tian province. Yes. Yes, my lecture will be separated into 4 parts. The first part will be about the mutual understandings of civilizations and quoted by our president, Xi Jinping. The second part I'm going to is the main part. I'm going to talk about the relationship between Rabindranath Tagore and Tian. And then the first part about that and why so many Chinese like Rabindranath. The next part is about the mutual understanding between the civilizations. Yes, and just now, as Professor Sen had mentioned just now, that he just now mentioned that we learn from each other and then we localize it, right, and adopt it into our own culture, 就是互相学习。然后呢，我们互相借鉴。And then we become more diverse, and culture become more rich， 就是文明互鉴而丰富。Yes， 然后文明交流互鉴是推动人类文明进步的世界发展的重要的动力。Yes, so it's important for exchange of the civilizations, so we can learn from each other. And now come to see that. And we'll come to see that there's so many in the history, so many Vietnamese has been influenced by him. Although Rabindranath Tagore, he didn't care for Tian. Most of professors and also writers have been. For example, I just took a few names back here. He's a great thinkers just later, and also Lin Caomei, he is also there. Lin Hui, I think you know her. She's the person to welcome Rabindranath Tagore to in Shanghai, in Beijing, and also Xu Dishan. Xu Dishan, he has been come to here, come to Santiniketan, 林语堂跟吴梅留在政治革命新书很多。And also last one, she has been here last month. Yes, I had the explanation of her in stage. And this is Lin Caomei. We know he is had a great influences on Tian. And he had tried to introduce that the Tagore's name. And Tagore had a Chinese name, Chenma, and tried to means that it is that the name was given by a famous Chinese thinker, and that he gave the name of Zhu, means that Indian, and Chenma means that it is someone who will give a strong achievement and to China, and also means the rise of the sun, bring something new. And then this is the picture, the first visit of Rabindranath Tagore in China. This next picture. And then they have the collaboration, 就是合作，他们互相合作，就是泰戈尔他用孟加拉文、英文两个体写这个书，写小诗，写在这个上面。床上这个是葱油床上，然后林草莓的话就为这个泰戈尔就是自泰戈尔写书，这是他所写的内容。如在面西雨水花was at least in the traditional Chinese. And also that Lin Caomei has performed the drama of Rabindranath. 就是他还演了泰戈尔的剧目《契德拉》。May I have next page? Yes. Yes, this is the now AI one. The picture is that when Lin Huiyin performed Chitala, the Rabindranath drama. 这是英文版的。Then also, this is her husband will be charge of the design of the platform. Yes. Next page. Next page, please. And then also that Queen, she's also have lots of communications with Rabindranath Tagore. But Rabindranath Tagore called her that Jasmine. She is as beauty, as purest as the jasmine flower. While jasmine flower, it is also, and here also we have a lot. It is the city's flower of Zhou, of Fujian, the province of the Fujian. So it is sometimes some coincidence. And in the poetry that Lin Huiyin's poetry has been influenced by Rabindranath Tagore. So because of time I will not go one by one, so I will just go for it. Yes. And also in the novel have been influenced by the images of Rabindranath Tagore's female image. Yes. Then I want to have a focus on Xu Dishang. His name was pen name is Wu Huashen. Then he have written lots of essays and also religious work. Then they also translate lots of the work. Then this picture is like 1926 that he came to here because that when Rabindranath Tagore in China, he was in America for study. So when he come back, he specially come here to visit Rabindranath Tagore. And Rabindranath Tagore told him that you try to made a dictionary of Sanskrit, and like he did it, and then he spent for many years, more than 20 years, to make the dictionary. And this is there are two elephants. The one elephant is Rabindranath Tagore gave to him. So this is another one. It is that this is also Rabindranath gave to Lao Shen, another famous writer in China. So it is also, they are the testimony of the friendship between India and China. Then this is the first of the textbook in China for the Sanskrit. The writer is Xu Dishang's student because he also comes from Fujian Normal University. This is the first. He made his book because of his teacher. And then the teacher is Xu Dishang because of the Rabindranath's words. So he go on with the workings of the Sanskrit. And also, lots of his books, like the female's image in his novel, has been greatly also influenced by Rabindranath Tagore. It's from the thoughts, from the image, and also from the artistic style has been greatly influenced by Rabindranath Tagore. Yes, next one. The next one, a great translator, Zheng Zhenduo, also come from Fujian. He also translated, he also had made novels, write lots of them. Yes, next one, I will just go quickly. Yes, this is the novel. This next one. Yes, and also she's also very famous, I think. And some people have read her work. That she had been saying that every day I with my brother, and we together with Rabindranath's lost bird. And also that this is the lots of he had been in publicly have been expressed her influences on Rabindranath Tagore. Then also, she is the contemporary writer, and she also said that 我拼命操诗，我迷上了泰戈的少年诗 to try to copy and rewrite Rabindranath's poetry. Yes. So yes, and also the last one that she has been here last month, right? She's also come from Fujian, then in Beijing University, and then she has performed lots of the Rabindranath Tagore's drama in China. So I list some of the China, and the revenge of the nature, and also this page. And this is some of the dramas has been performed. And then we have also He Xiaoxue come from Beijing University, and when she was studying there, then she has been in charge of this performance. This next page. So, yeah, and all these are the performance have been held from the drama in China. When yes, this is coming to be in Beijing University of 24th about the post office. That is this one is my students. They are going to at the end of this week. They're going to give the performance of the post office given by my students. And now, so briefly, yeah, my time is up. Yeah, next page. So why Fujian has so many celebrities and writers has been influencing Tagore that I try to find the reason. I think for one reason is Fujian has been near the sea with lots of the sea culture, so we are tolerant and we try to learn from different culture. Next one. Yes. And for example, that in the history in Fujian, Quanzhou, we have lots of the Hindu sculptures, lots of people. That means that we have already, before many years ago, we have communications through the sea travels. Next one. And yeah, this is the sculptures in the museum we still have. Yeah, this is the person. Yeah. Okay. And to the next. This is much for come to the last one, the last page. We have been in a word that Rabindranath have been greatly influences Fujian in different kinds of way. And thank you so much. I hope that in future some of you may come to Visva University for further study. We will warmly welcome you to go to my university for further study. Thank you so much.
Many thanks, Ms. Lee Chin for her very good presentation on Tagore and Fujian writers and the perspective of mutual understanding of civilization. Our next speaker, Dr. Chu Xuan. Dr. Chu Xuan is an Associate Research Fellow of Center for Indian Studies, the member of Chinese Indian Literature Research Association, visiting scholar of Department of Philosophy of Delhi University. Her published books as co-author are Notes of Journey to India, Reflections on Indian Culture, etc. Her published articles also include Han San's interpretation of the thoughts of Aurobindo and exploration of Zhu Hanqing's 27-year life in Pondicherry. Now I request Dr. Chu Xuan to deliver the lecture.
Namaskar. मेरा नाम चू शेन है. मैं सेंट्रल विश्वविद्यालय से हूँ. आपसे मिलकर खुशी हुई. Thank you so much. This is my great honor to stand in here. Really, I think it's a very big day for me. So now my topic is about the confusions of India overseas Chinese scholars' views on Rabindranath and Chenma. I will take three persons. One is Dr. Zhou Xiangguang, the second is Professor Xu Liqiao, And the third one is Mr. Li Juncheng as example. In our university, Santiniketan University, we have the Tangshan China-India Friendship Museum. But this time, I choose these three figures because they have the close connection with Professor Tangshan. So my report is based on that Dr. Zhou's one book, the personalities of India's independence of their ideologic background. Professor Xunqiao's Mathematicist thoughts on India and Mr. Li Juncheng's travels in the Asian Buddhist country. With these three persons, not so nowadays, we should know more about them because before we don't know much about them, even Chinese scholars. So that's why we should study them from now on. So the first one, Dr. Zhou Xiangguang, he talked about point Tagore. I must briefly introduce Zhou Xiangguang very quickly. He was a Chinese scholar and correspondent between China and India. He studied and taught India from the end of 1942 to 1983. He studied also in Visva-Bharati, University of Kolkata, and the university. And at the university, he received his PhD. He also as a lecturer at the university, India Administrator Service Training School, and the University of Ahmedabad. So he almost stayed in the University of Ahmedabad for more than 10 years to teach Chinese. So at the beginning of Nehru's government, he served as the chief of the China section in the publishing department of the Indian Ministry of Home Affairs and editor's publisher, New India Quarterly and World Worthly. He was inspired by Doctors Consulate Zhang and Master Taishu is among the very famous monk in China, and promote the Sino-India books and cultural exchange. Please. So that is during his 20 years in India. He published more than 20 works in China and India. Many is very recommended and professed, very famous Indian scholars. Now I just choose two. That is his representative works. One is the history of China's Buddhism. That is his doctoral thesis. So this is some parts of his Chinese works, mostly talking about India history, politics, religions, and philosophy. And the next is mostly is the English works. English works is talking about Chinese culture, Chinese history, politics, religions, especially Buddhism and Dhammayana. So I found some, because I am now, these 2 years, I study on him. So that's why I choose many materials from him. One is from the published in 1943. That is one article talking about, that's the name, Sketch of Visva-Bharati. So in this article, he talked about the founding history of Visva-Bharati and the primary purpose of the Tagore's education. He said Tagore education is to make children feel that school life is not boring, just like being in a big family and grow up freely, sincerely, and happily. So he also said that Visva-Bharati is really very important academic center in India at that time. And the opening ceremony, you can see there's very famous scholars in the world, not only in India. Yeah, the doctors as well, Lady Dr. Uchi and Professor De Witness, they're always very famous at that time. And then he's talking about Cheena, but at that time, maybe Cheena was not the nowadays his name. So he said the Institute of Sino-India Society at Cheena is chaired by Professor Taishu, and one course received Chinese, Tibetan, Sanskrit, Bali, Hindi, Bengali, some Sino-India Buddhism, and another religions in China and India. He talked in the end of his article, he wrote, if we want to know India, we must go to India, conduct practice, research, and field investigations. If we can fully understand the situation in India, then there will be a possibility for China and India to unite in the future. Otherwise, it would not be unionist talking without doing anything. Another book, also written by Dr. Zhou Xiangguang in 1952 or 1953. The book's name is The Personalities of India Independence and Their Ideological Background. This book is totally concluded 10 chapters. And the eighth chapter is talking about the point Tagore. So in the front of this article, he quoted a poem written by Mr. Hu Shi. Hu Shi was the principal of Peking University at that time. So you can read that this is a Chinese poem. 他从大风里过来，向最高峰上去了。This is他 means the Rabindranath Tagore. 山上没有和平，只有人，没有风和雨。That is means that it's very high bad weather. But he also insists, what one should go down, but at last he decided to go down. 他终于下山来了，向那密云遮出去，管他下雨下暴，他们受苦，我也受苦。A very interesting thing is this point is not in China. This point is here, perceived in Visva-Bharati. So we hope to say that manuscript of Mr. Hu Shi, Professor Hu Shi. Next. So also in this chapter 8, the point of Tagore, Dr. Zhou Xiangguang said, if we see the integration of small differences and one is characteristics of India, then the point of Tagore is said to be the highest spiritual symbol of the modern India. That is his why when he talked like that. He's created the unity and the harmonies of the contradictions and oppositions. It's like a twinkle stars, like a beautiful sky. It's like everything and the leafy jungles with classical things. And also, he has opened the precise of different words and songs. And his chapter consists of different, of various sounds of music. Then he also regarded the universal as internal realities, the culture is future in nature, so that people can go along with all the achieved life. Human beings are endless, ungraced by nature and one with grace, the spirit of the universe and discovers internal life and life. Next slide. This is another article written by Dr. Zhou Xiangguang talking about the study and promotion of Buddhism in other countries. He quoted many of the scholars at that time. So mostly they believe the studies at Visva-Bharati, just like Professor Tagore, Professor Bhavana, and these scholars, they share class custody, and your former vice president, Mr. right? And they also very famous scholars at that time. Next. So I also want the second, talking about Rabindranath Tagore, he supported the Buddhist and the Buddhist case in China, in India. So I choose that the books written by Mr. Li Jingchen, the name is Travels with the Restoration across the Country. This book was published in 1939. So in 1939, January 21st, there was a ceremony of lighting the foundation stone of the Zhonghua Temple. Now we can't find the Zhonghua Temple because the Zhonghua Temple had changed the name. The Zhonghua Temple is now its name. Before, its name is China Temple. China Temple is my Tagore, he proposed a reconstruction of this China Temple in Santiniketan. Have you been to Santiniketan before? Yeah, that is a very famous Buddhist site, right? Yeah, Buddhist. So this is the Tagore's his reconstructions for that. He said today is the day for us to have a new awakening. So we may definitely be happy to see the ancient Chinese temple built by the emperor of the Han Dynasty 1,013 years ago. ago, when he revived with Sanat. So for humanitarian reason, we can afford to restore the great monument of the past to record two great persons of ancient. So, despite being separate, yeah, this Chinese translation. That's this. Yeah. So this is the design picture of this Zhonghua temple. This is also the foundation ceremony. Also, Tagore's this page, this note, also published in local newspaper. This is nowadays, if you go to Sanat, you will see that Zhonghua temple is Sanat. Oh, just 1 minute. This reference is written by Professor Han Yishan personally, so that is very well issued. I think the instruction. China is very. Oh, the third one is about Professor Xu Yiqiao. He was not, he's overseas Chinese. He's a master of the Southeast Asian history in Singapore and Malaysia. Now, in 1959, he gathered a group of 36 graduate students from the Department of History and Geography of Nanyang University. Became the tour study tour to India. And when he came back, he mentioned this book. You can see this book's name is we can see the notes on India, and there's a very important. It's described by Professor Han Yishan. This student tour was respected by many universities and also ICCR. Who's next? Yeah, this was the president of India. Yeah, Jawaharlal Nehru, right? The meeting with them, and some of the British officials. So in that book, the North in India, the chapter 23rd, talking about the Visva-Bharati and the Chenma. He said, Professor Xu Yiqiao compared Tagore to the Confucians of India. And he said, Visva-Bharati is called the Xinhan. Xinhan is just also like the tree, the students sitting under the tree, right? So he said, Tagore believed that the true education must give children a happy life and a full freedom. Use theory and practice together and teach students live together. India is a culture with a very developed university education. There must be a large-scale university and a big city, but the Visva-Bharati is an exception. This is the real Tagore teaches students in the teaching of Confucians and Xinhan. And then he also continue to describe the why or how that the teaching is happening. That is the photos when the whole students, 39 students, and with the couple of Professor Han Yishan. So my conclusion, the first thing is I think reading the history of Sino-Indian exchange in modern times, Rabindranath Tagore, Professor Han Yishan, and Cheena are three Murti symbols of the Sino-Indian society. Are you agree? Are you agree with me? Yeah. So it's a very important aspect of scholars' knowledge and understanding India. So that's why we should strengthen our research on this Trimurti symbol, Rabindranath Tagore, Professor Han Yishan, and Cheena. The second, with the publication of the module edition of Tagore in China, we are Chinese scholars. We can go to more and more materials like the translations, commentary, and research about Tagore. But now our motion still would expand to the important overseas Chinese scholars, overseas Chinese, and overseas Chinese publication. I have the third one. When I heard many scholars their speech, I think the third one is we hopefully to have the book or the academic research on Chenma and the Visva-Bharati. That is very important to us. So let me conclude the words from the Dr. Zhou Zhangguang. We must believe that the cultural exchange and the academic harmony between China and India in the future will be achieved through the medium of our university. the Visva-Bharati, where Shuri became a holy place for international academics. I look forward to it. I also hope for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chu Xuan, for your beautiful presentation on overseas Chinese scholars on Rabindranath Tagore. We got some new informations about Chinese scholars on Tagore. It would be helpful for Tagore studies, I think. Now, our next speaker, actually last speaker in this session, Mr. Wang Qing Kan, will be introduced shortly. Mr. Wang Qing Kan is a Chinese writer, poet and poetry translator. He graduated from Peking University with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Tsinghua University. He is the author of poetry anthology, Fleeting Time of 30s, and biography Looking for Shu Tuangpo, and has translated Tagore's English poetry series, The Stray Birds, Fireflies, The Crescent Moon, The Garden, etc. Now I request Mr. Wang Qing Kan to present his paper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear professors and students. A little bit different from other scholars from China. I'm a Chinese poet and poetry translator of Tagore's English poems. In the past several years, I translated Tagore's English collections such as Street Birds, Fireflies, The Crescent Moon, The Gardener. So today I want to say something about these poems. My title is Teaching in Poetry, the Symbols of Vitality in Tagore's English Poetry. Mr. Tagore once said, I don't think I can say that I'm a pure poet. That's obvious. Poets have changed their style in my midst, and at the same time have acquired the character of a preacher. I have created a philosophy of life, and in philosophy there is a strong emotional quality. So my philosophy can sing and preach. My philosophy is like clouds in the sky, able to transform into a shower, and can also be dyed into colorful clouds to decorate the banquet in the sky. Tagore is known as the philosopher of poetry, for his beautiful poetry and profound ideas. Poetry is the carrier of these profound thoughts, and he integrates education into poetry. His poetry is full of philosophy, and his weak yet strong life images, such as grass and fireflies, give people enlightenment and infinite power of life. These images can be found everywhere in his English poetry collection, such as Street Birds and Fireflies. Tagore published 9 collections of English poetry, including Gitanjali, Street Birds, The Crescent Moon, The Gardener, and The Firefly, etc. While Street Birds and Fireflies originated from Tagore's trip to China and Japan about 100 years ago, and
His poems in these two books were influenced by Japanese haiku and Chinese classical poetry in form and expression. Unlike other English prose poems of Tagore, most of them are short, concise, and meaningful poems in a few words. When I was young, I loved a poem very much in his three verse. Let life be beautiful like summer flowers. The poems contain images such as flowers, plants, trees, the sun, moon, stars, as well as common images in classical Chinese poetry, such as the grass and fireflies. It shares many similarities in form and content with classical Chinese poetry. The first one, I want to say something about grass. Grass may appear fragile, but is rooted in the earth and possesses tenacious vitality. Tagore wrote in the 65th poem of Three Birds. Tiny grass, your steps are small, but you possess the earth and your trade. The 91st poem of Three Birds wrote. The great earth makes herself hospitable with the help of the grass. The 117th poem of Three Birds. The grass blade is worthy of the great world where it grows. And also in the fireflies, the 101st poem of Firefly wrote, the grass survives the heat through its resurrections from countless deaths. The image of grass is also not uncommon in classical Chinese poetry. Do you know the name of Bai Ji, a very famous poet in Tang Dynasty? He wrote in Chinese, 离离原上草，一岁一枯荣，野火烧不尽，春风吹又生。In English, lush grass on the plains in 1 year, withers and thrives once each. While wildfires can be burned out, and the spring breeze can blow again. The tenacious vitality of grass has a similar effect in different contexts of Chinese and English. Then I want to say something about fireflies. On summer nights, tiny fireflies flicker and dance like twinkling stars. Even though they only have a faint light, they point people in the direction of the hope. Tagore wrote about fireflies at the beginning of Fireflies. My fancies are fireflies, specks of living light, twinkling in the dark. In the 106th poem in Fireflies, also mentioned fireflies. The fireflies twinkling among leaves make the stars wonder. The image and the text of the fireflies are also frequently seen in classical Chinese poetry. The image of fireflies shows that even if they are insignificant, they must use a faint light to illuminate the darkness. Looking back 100 years, Mr. Tagore's philosophical and beautiful lines of poetry still wonder in the ancient land of the East. And his profound ideas and educational concepts always inspire people with life and infinite power. At last, I want to recite one famous poem in his Three Birds. Once we dreamed that we were strangers. We wake up to find that we were dear to each other. In Chinese, 曾经我们梦见彼此陌生，醒来却发现我们原本心心相通 dear to each other. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wang Chin-Khan, for your interesting presentation. Now we are at the end of the session. In this session, we have learned a lot through 4 lectures delivered by 4 scholars. We have 5 minutes, and if you ask a question, you may, but the question should be precise, and comment, if any comment should be precise. Any question or comment from audience?
I would request you to give me at least 5 minutes again. I'll try to finish the before that. Now, coming to the point of religious festivals, I'm not against religious festivals or don't need to hurt someone's religious sentiment or things like that. Coming to the point of religion, I believe. See, this is not my view. It's a view of many thinkers of our time. That religion is a private concern and must not be taken as it must not be promoted as a public affair. So the best way to practice religion is a private home, regardless of one's individual belief, regardless of whoever the religion that they believe in. By public affair, I mean when you start to practice religion in a temple or a mosque or a synagogue or church or a gurudwara or pagoda, I think it's rubbish. Thank you.
Your topic is Confucius in India versus Chinese scholars' views on Rabindranath. This is not a question actually, an observation. Like in 1924, when Tagore went to China, Marxists and communists were totally against him. Komoro, who was a fan and follower of Rabindranath Tagore, also, opposed Tagore's visit. But the question is that Marxist Chu Pai, he commented, we don't need another Confucius in China. So if that was the observation and evaluation of Tagore at that time, do you think in the due course of time this perception changed and these days really Chinese people consider him as Confucius? Does it happen because these days Chinese people have started learning more and more of Tagore's literature and creation? Is that the reason or what reason is behind that? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam at that time, Confucians were just kind of another symbol in China at that time, maybe 1920s, 1930s. I think that he said the Confucians of India, the Confucians one part that represent the traditional culture. The others, one part thinks that is he's the education. He's a very top guru, in China. So mostly, I think scholars they think traditional culture maybe we should change a little, but the guru that is in our heart, it still is very important in China. So I still think the Confucians we accept that saying in Chenma. I mean, nowadays we really sincerely think the symbol, the Confucians in India is true. Yes, thank you so much.
My questions to all Chinese scholars present here on the dais. What motivates young Chinese scholars to study Tagore? What is the reason that more and more Tagore has become more and more popular in China?
Okay, I think why I also was thinking about this question. I so popular in China. I think firstly that we have shared the same of the, for example, Buddhism firstly is come from India, and the Chinese have been learning a lot from India, and also that, for example, Rabindranath he focused on the spiritual life. For example, he don't think that the form of religion is important. And also in China, during that time, we think that the too many rituals of Confucianism is not good. So we need to, the heart, the spirit is more important. And also there's, I think, historical important thing is that at the time we face the same question, was that we are China is half colonized by Western country. So we also learn from at the time India also at the same situation. Rabindranath called the people to rise and protect our own tradition, our own culture. And also we Chinese also at the time we also have such the same and of course, we also have the same historical events. I think this is at that point of history. Yeah, we have the same difficulties. We share the same responsibilities. And then Rabindranath expressed it out. And also Rabindranath, he loved Chinese culture. He also expressed it out. And also his poetry is so popular. There's some, because the things I think also very important is that things expressed in his novel or poetry or drama, and there's something about the human nature. We're all human beings. Then although we have different culture and with different language, but we're all human beings. We have the same spirit. We all want to, so that's why they have the echo with there's so many echoes in China. I think he expresses art. The human nature, the human spirit. Yes, I think this is my understanding. Okay.
Thank you.
Tagore's poem is very his English poem, such as I just mentioned, Three Birds and Five Flies, originated in China. So his poems influenced so many modern Chinese poets and writers. So from 100 years ago, so many young people
love Tagore's poems.
But sir, my question is that Tagore, why this new generation started liking Tagore's work?
For example, my students like also like Rabindranath, like the post office. But then it is a human thing that the human thing, whether it is old or new, it is always something permanent. For example, was his very beautiful words expressed out about what is the realization of life, about the love, about something like you tears for the sun, then you also tear for the star and the moon. So it is the same, but whether you are old or young, yeah, it is the same. So lots of our students, you will also write this kinds of words on this book. Yes, I think it is Marxist study. We are all human beings, and he expresses out something, the truth in very beautiful ways. That's why my students love it so much.
I think you have more questions, but due to shortage of time, we have to conclude here. We may discuss actually our lunch period. Now we are waiting for our lunch, and there will be next session after lunch. Thank you. Thanks to all. Particularly, we thank Professor Cheena Chakraborty, Lee Chin Myung, Chu Swan, Wan Chin Kan, and all participants here. Thanks to all.